Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray, and today I'm going to be talking about how to spot a fake Gibson Les Paul. So I have here, just for an example, this is not a fake Les Paul. This is an Epiphone branded Les Paul right here. And then give me 1 second to switch these two guys out. And then here I have my Gibson Les Paul. So weight-wise, the fakes and the real ones are typically about the same weight. So there's not really a weight difference. Shape-wise, headstock-wise, everything theoretically, if you don't know what you're looking for, looks like a real Les Paul. So first off, I want to state by saying that typically a Les Paul like this is a studio model. You will not see these faked. That reason being, it is a cheaper Les Paul. It is a cheaper Gibson. And if they're going to fake something, they're going to fake the really fancy higher end ones. They're not going to fake the cheaper ones. These ones are like maybe $1,000 new, $1,200 max, I would say, new, the studios. They're going to be faking like the Slash ones, the Zakk Wylde ones, Jimmy Page ones, and basically anything else that is of high value, like a 59 reissue, etc. They're going to be faking the ones that are really, really expensive and super, super nice. So let's start off with, we'll just go from the top to the bottom. So the logo, there are different Gibson logos throughout history. There's a bunch of different ones. Studio models, most models you'll typically see gold silkscreen right here. A lot of the fakes, they'll use some kind of crappy paint, something like that. Not too good. But typically it is a gold silkscreen for most Gibson models. Second, let's go to the truss rod here. If you notice, 1 screw, 2 screws. If I grab the Epiphone real quick, switch it out for you. A lot of the fakes will have 3, not 2. So that's just kind of at the headstock, major thing to look for. The next thing, which I think is the easiest way to see if it's a Gibson or an Epiphone, is if you actually take the truss rod cover off, if it fits a hex wrench. That's right, a hex wrench. It's not a socket wrench, it's a hex wrench. Let me see, I got one around here somewhere, I thought. Maybe not. Oh, right here. This is a hex wrench. This is a really big one that won't fit a truss rod, but if this fits into the truss rod to adjust it, it is not an actual Gibson Les Paul, because Gibson does an American way. They go for the socket wrench. It looks like a socket wrench. It's a very small custom tool that you use to do it, but it is not, as I said, it will never, ever, ever be a hex wrench. So as I said, that is like the #1 way to do it. Another way that is very easy to distinguish is if you look at the electronics. So if you open this up, if you see really, really small, tiny pots, typically not a Gibson. A lot of them now have their crazy funky wiring circuit. A lot of the Chinese ones will not have that basically clip-in wiring system. They also typically will not have it's like a grounding plate, I believe. It's a giant metal plate that is the same exact shape as your electronics cover here, this right here, that is actually inside the cavity. So providing it isn't a fake, and you know how to use a screwdriver when you're buying one from somebody, even Guitar Center once in a while, you will see a fake. It slips past them. You can take a look at that and see if that plate is in there. And if it's fake, they're probably going to be like, well, why do you have to take that off? But if it's real, then you won't have an issue. Moving down to the neck. I don't have a Gibson Les Paul to show you on this, but binding-wise, on Gibson Les Pauls, unless it's a special model, because occasionally they will have it, if you notice on here, because the Epiphone has the binding, so that's why I'm using this, it goes over the binding. So if you look at the frets really close, you can see that the fret wire is going over the binding. The Gibsons will have a little nub of white on every single fret. There'll be a little nub of white. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a fake. If it's an older Les Paul or SG Explorer, whatever that has binding, and doesn't have the nubs, it could mean there is a refret or some sort of fret work is done. So it doesn't always mean that there is that it's a fake, but typically that is a little bit of a red flag, especially if it's a newer guitar. All right, so moving on to the body of the guitar itself. If you get an opportunity, you can always take out the pickups as well, because obviously the fake ones typically will not have the correct stamping on the back. I won't say Gibson USA. Any of that will just be a plain Jane pickup. They might even throw an Epiphone pickup in there. You never know. All right, now just moving on to another also telltale sign. If you look at the bridge here, I'm going to grab the other Les Paul, the Gibson in a minute. See the screw holes right here in this little bridge? That is a telltale sign. If it has actual screw holes and it's not, freaking things are heavy. Just this little dot. If you look right here on the bridge, it's just a small little dot. There is no screw adjustment at all. You adjust by turning these. You don't adjust with the screwdriver. The tail pieces obviously look pretty much the same, but the bridge part itself, you will see these two dots. So to know that it's a Gibson. Also, the newer ones will also have adjustments for a hex wrench too. So if you see a little hex wrench spot in these two spots, that is also a real Gibson as well. They are doing it on the newer models. One of the ones that I typically see that you don't see very often, at least I've never seen anyone explain it. Let's look at the tuners on this. These are Gibson Deluxe tuners. If you notice the middle tuners, these two right here, if you look at the points, it's going to be really hard to see. I apologize on the camera. But if you look at these points right here, you will notice that just on the middle two, they are a little bit inward compared to the ones on the top. They do not line up perfectly with these. They are a little bit to the left. Or sorry, right. A little bit to the right, pushed in a little bit on both sides. Now, not every single Gibson model has Gibson Deluxe tuners, but they're typically an older style. You will see them on vintage reissue guitars. So that is also a dead giveaway as well. Also, number one would be price. If you see like a Slash or a Zakk Wylde guitar that is like $200-300 and it's got a Gibson stamp on it, 9 out of 10 that's fake. Now, not everyone is a douchebag and they won't sell them. They'll buy them because they want the look, which if that's up to you if you want to do that and buy them from the website. I'm not going to give you the name of the website, but if you want to buy it for the look, that's fine. You can also, sometimes you will see somebody that reshaped an Epiphone Les Paul headstock to make it look like a Gibson, and that's also fine. Another thing you will also notice too, but you won't be able to see on most guitars that are solid colors anyway. The neck, there's never a scarf joint. There's never a heel joint. Neck is always one solid piece. Sometimes they do have, up by the headstock, I don't know if you can see it here, on the headstock itself, sometimes they have a piece of wood, like right here, because they don't have enough wood for the neck, so they'll put an extra piece of wood up here. But I have never seen a Gibson Les Paul minus a neck through one or 5-piece neck that is more than one piece of wood. Bodies typically are 2 pieces of wood, so if it looks like it's a bunch of pieces of wood, yeah, don't buy that guitar. And I'm just going to show you for a comparison on the Epiphone what I'm talking about with the scarf joint and heel joint. So right here, if you look right here, like literally right here where the tip of my finger is, that is called a scarf joint. Basically means this is one separate piece of wood, this is one separate piece of wood. And if you look, if I can get it in the light correctly, right about here where my finger is, there's a heel joint too, meaning that there's an extra piece of wood behind this piece of wood. So this neck is actually like a 3-piece neck in itself, compared to the 1 piece on the Gibson. Finish-wise too, you will have polyurethane on the fakes typically because it is a cheaper finish, and the Gibsons have a nitrocellulose. And the last weird thing, that if you ever watch Andertons or Rob Chappers, there's a smell. That's right, Gibsons have a smell because of the nitrocellulose finish. It's like a nice, it's not like a great smell, but it's like just like a nice, almost stale air smell. I don't know, it's really weird to tell. But if you ever find yourself in Guitar Center and you smell a polyurethane guitar, just basically go smell an Epiphone and smell a Gibson. And I know it's weird, super weird, but there is a different smell to it. You can almost instantly tell it's a Gibson just by giving it a good whiff, because of whatever they use in the finish. I don't know if it's a fragrance. I don't know if it works with older models. I've never tried it on an older model. Then again, this is a 94 and it still has that smell. But I know all those newer models have that smell. If I ever get a hold of something vintage, or borrow something vintage more likely, I'll definitely give it that old smell test to see if it's kind of the same principle or if it's something different. But as far as I know, every single Gibson ever has that smell because they're all in the nitrocellulose finish, and the Ebophones and the fake Gibson ones will all be polyurethane. And just going up the back of the neck, sometimes the polyurethane's a little bit sticky, especially when you're sweaty. I don't really ever have that issue with the nitrocellulose finish. Again, that is more of a personal preference, so you can feel free to do what you will with that advice. So yet again, my name is Steve Gray. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a like, turn on that little notification button so you know when I am making new videos, and feel free to throw in a comment what you want me to do. Typically, I do guitar videos, anime videos, reviews of things, and it's pretty much it. Cartoons, anime videos, and guitars. Pick one of those things. I'll try to do my best to make a video of it, and that is all. My name is Steve Gray. Have a good one.